Good evening, scholars. Welcome to the Kemet Maasai Academy. This is Kamau Mahakoe, and we're continuing our PEP performance task sample questions. So we have another batch of questions for tonight. And as usual, my scholars will be joining me in studio, helping me to work out these problems. So far, I have Nardika in studio. Welcome, Nardika.
Good night, Miss.
Good night. How are you?
I'm fine and ready to learn.
Okay, that's great. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at the questions. Over in the chat, we have Miss Reed representing as usual. So let's go. We're ready. The other scholars will join us as we go along. So this performance task is entitled Hurricane Evacuation, prepared and presented by yours truly, Kamau Mahakoe. So a hurricane is heading this way, and Jamaica is predicted to be in its direct path. The storm is expected to start affecting the island within the next few hours. Today, we will help Jessica and her family prepare for the hurricane. So that's the scenario we're working with for this math performance task. A hurricane is heading this way, and Jamaica is predicted to be in its direct path. The storm is expected to start affecting the island within the next few hours. Today, we will help Jessica and her family prepare for the hurricane. All right, Madame Nardika, please read question 1.
Miss, can you please go back on the first thing, please, because I'm not finished writing it off. Thank you.
You're going to write stuff?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. You're going to have to write fast.
Yes,
All right,
Miss.
so we have Genesis and we have Jair. Welcome, scholars. We also have Nathan. Welcome, Nathan.
I love Katy Perry. That's a
Yes, Miss.
All right, so ready, Madam?
No, Miss. Miss, I'm not finished.
Can you take a screenshot? Is that possible?
I'm not sure, Miss.
Because I don't think we have the time.
Yes, Miss. It's took a screen.
Okay, very good. So go ahead and read question 1 for me, Nardika.
Miss, can you hear me? Because StreamYard just muted my mic a while ago.
I'm hearing you now. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Miss. The hurricane is now a Category 3 storm traveling at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour. If it is expected to make landfall in Morant Point,
At Morant Point,
thank you, Miss, St. Thomas, within the next 48 to 72 hours, about what time should the residents of that town start feeling the effects of if it is now 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday there? The hurricane is now a Category 3 storm traveling at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour. If it is expected to make landfall at Morant Point, St. Thomas within the next 48 to 72 hours. About what time should the residents of that town start feeling the effects if it is now 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday there?
Okay, so that's question 1. How do we approach question 1? Does anybody have their answer ready? Anybody has their method ready to explain how we can go about solving this question? So it's all about hurricane tonight. Hurricane is approaching, and we're going to be helping Jessica and her family to figure some things out in order to survive this hurricane. So the first task we have is figuring out round about what time will the residents of Morant Point start feeling the effects of the hurricane based on the information given. We're given some information about the speed that the hurricane is traveling and when it is likely to start affecting the island. You may know that Morant Point in St. Thomas is the most westerly point on the island. So, and our hurricanes generally tend to come. Sorry, the most eastern part of the island, I'm sorry. And our hurricanes tend to come from the east, so we can assume that the residents of Morant Point would be among the first to start experiencing the effects of the hurricane. So given the information, how are we going to approach this? Welcome, Antoine.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening. So this is our first task. Does anyone have any ideas? Of the information given, what is relevant to us to figure this problem out?
Excuse me, miss.
Yes, Nathan.
Miss, I wasn't hearing what you were saying, miss.
About what?
When I got this about the question, miss.
Can you see the question on the screen? Can you see the question, Nathan?
Yes, miss, I just started hearing, miss.
Alright, so we're tackling this question, right? Good night, Nathan Rowe. We have two Nathans with us. Nathan Rowe is over there in the chat, and we have Nathan Miller with us in studio. So it's just as quiet in the studio as it is just before a hurricane makes landfall. It's usually very calm and quiet. But I'm feeling like it's too quiet in this studio. So let's see what we can do together. The hurricane is expected to make landfall at Morant Point within the next 48 to 72 hours. Can that tell us, give us an idea? It's in hours. We want to know how many days would that be? 48 to 72 hours. How many days would that represent? Can you convert those hours to days for me?
2 to 3
Miss,
days.
So 48 hours would be 2 days.
Yes,
and
miss, and 72 would be
72
3.
3. How do we get 2 and 3 for those?
Miss, because remember, it's 24 hours is in a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, miss, so miss, you have 24 hours in a day, miss, I have 24, miss. 24 and 24 is 48, right, miss?
Okay. So
It's
48
48, miss,
hours.
and 17, miss. Yes, miss. And they
Mm-hmm.
said 7, so miss, so 24, 24 and 48, that are 48, 49, 50, 50, 6, 50. That's miss 28 on the 40. 24 upon the 40, miss. That
48
would
plus
be
24.
40, 50, 68, 69, 70. That's the other two, miss. So 71, 72, miss.
Okay. So we can add 24 plus 24 and we see that we get 48. Or we could divide 48 by 24 and we would get
Yes,
3.
miss.
Likewise, 24 plus 24 plus 24, that's 72. Or we could divide 72 by 24 and we get 3. So within the next 2 to 3 days, the hurricane is expected to hit Morant Point. So if it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 3 p.m. there now. By when should they start feeling the effects of the hurricane if it should get to them within 2 to 3 days? When is the earliest they're going to start feeling the effects? Good night, Shaheem. I wonder why Miss Reed over there dead with laugh. Why you laughing, Miss? You laughing at us here in the studio?
Me, team, we get it, miss. Miss, my team, we get
Remember,
it,
I
but
know
miss, me
they
don't
want
know, miss.
when it went start feel. So should we focus on the 2 days or the 3 days?
3 day, miss.
If you want to know
Miss,
when
the
they're going
reason
to
why,
start
Miss, I
feeling.
said two
miss, the
days.
reason why I said that, miss.
Yes, Nathan, what you say?
Miss, the reason I said 3 days, miss. Miss, remember I said the town started feeling effects. No, 3 at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm. So if you
Miss,
want to
like I
know,
said,
no, it's
hurricane.
3:30.
Miss,
It's three
miss,
thirty.
like I said,
No, Nathan. It's 3:30
what I said,
p.m.
miss.
No, it's
Yes,
3:30
miss.
p.m. No. So if we want to figure out when they will start feeling the effects, would we be more interested in the 2 days from now or the 3 days from now?
Miss,
Antoine,
3.
Miss, I said the 2 days.
why?
Miss, it says when it should be start feeling
Mm-hmm.
the effects of the hurricane.
So we have to focus on the sooner possibility, right? So if it's 3:30 p.m. now, 2 days from now would be what time?
Miss, 2 days from now, Thursday, miss.
Well, based on the problem, it's Tuesday now in Morant Bay. So 2 days from Tuesday would be what you say, Antoine?
Thursday, miss.
Thursday at what time?
3:30 p.m.
Thursday at the same time. You see that, guys? Thursday at 3:30 p.m. That's
Yes,
2 days from Tuesday at 3:30 p.m.
But
So,
excuse me, miss.
yes, Nardika.
Miss, at the first time, I don't understand how you got the 3 days on the Thursday. How you got the Thursday?
No, the 3 days won't be Thursday. 2 days would be Thursday. But we're
Oh,
sticking with the 2 days because it wants to know the soonest that they might start feeling the effects. You
oh,
understand? If it had
yes,
said when is
miss.
the latest that they would start feeling, then we would focus on the 3 days away. All right, so we're going to move on to question 2. I'm going to ask Genesis. to read question 2?
Now I understand, Miss.
Okay, very good. Genesis,
Yes, Miss.
please read question 2 twice.
Jessica lives in low-lying section of Maran Bay, and the government has warned that recent of
Residents,
its
residents,
residents of this area may be asked to evacuate.
evacuate. Mm-hmm.
Evacuate. What what does this mean? What do you think will happen to
To those,
those residents of so
if
if they evacuate and if they did not? Jessica lives in a rural section of Marathi, and the government has warned the residents of that area. May this area may be asked to
evacuate,
evacuate. Evacuate. What do they?
what does?
What does this mean? What do you think would happen to those residents if they evacuate and if they did not?
All right, thank you, Genesis. What would happen to the residents if they evacuate and if they don't? So let's think of well, there are two words here I'd like for you to define for me. What are residents and what does it mean to evacuate? Who wants to take either of
Evacuate
these?
means
Yes, Nick, go ahead.
Miss
Which
evacuate
one you want to define?
means to what they said, Miss?
Would you like to explain to me who is a resident and what does evacuate mean? Which one you
Yes,
want to take?
evacuate means Miss Resident, Miss. Mr. Resident is like a person that you Miss like say Miss you have a house, Miss, and you said you want to rent the house, Miss. You rented the house to a resident, Miss. So say you have a 2-story house, Miss. I want to rent the resident from like a community who needs a house to rent, Miss. When you rent them the house, they're like a resident to you, Miss. So the residents, like the resident downstairs, Miss, you should go to them for some.
Okay. Does anyone else want to give their definition of who a resident is? We're talking about the residents of Morant Bay. Who is a resident? Or do we agree with Nathan's definition? All right. You're correct, Nathan. So the resident is someone who lives at a place. You reside at a place. So the residents of Morant Bay would be the persons who live in Morant Bay. And what does it mean to evacuate? The area may be evacuated. What does that mean? Remember, a hurricane is coming. The area may be
Miss, I think
evacuated.
I know.
Go ahead.
Evacuate means that you leave the the place that you wish to go somewhere much safe.
Very good. Yes. Yes, Genesis. To evacuate means to leave the place where you are in order to
And
go
go
to
somewhere safe.
safer. Correct. So usually when there's an evacuation, it has to be hurried because a disaster is approaching. So you have to just grab the essential things, grab your important documents, grab yourself and your family members, and make haste, move away from that area as fast as you can, whether it's a hurricane is approaching, or a volcano is about to erupt or has erupted, or some kind of disaster. So the question is, what do you think would happen to the residents when they evacuate? And what do you think would happen to the residents who refuse to evacuate? If they don't evacuate, a hurricane is coming. Go ahead.
If they don't evacuate their house, they might drown the floodwater.
Say that again, please. Go
If
again.
you don't leave your if you don't leave your house, if you don't evacuate your house, you might drown in the floodwater.
Oh, okay. Is it Genesis speaking or Jair?
Genesis.
Genesis. Okay. That's correct, Genesis. Um, so we're thinking of a hurricane. Morant Bay. From you hear the word bay, you know it's close to the water. So there might be flooding, and if you stay in an area that has an evacuation warning, you might experience that flooding and you might drown. So what do you think would happen to the persons who evacuate? Where do you think they might go, and what are conditions going to be like for them?
Miss,
Yes, Nathan.
miss, if they evacuate inside, I think they will be better off evacuating them. Miss, God, if them stay, miss, somebody that have it, miss, one of them could have died or something, miss. Miss, like them could have get to high ground, miss, like in some people, it's like when a hurricane come, they say, have a big camp or something, miss.
Okay. So you might have evacuation centers that the
Yes,
government
miss,
has,
and uh, miss on higher ground, miss.
right,
So if
usually on
flooding
higher
starting.
ground. Right. Very good. All right. So, Jair, we're going to move on to question 3. Here are some figures, guys. So, as Jair is reading, jot down the important figures, please. Go ahead, Jair. Please read it twice. Are you
The
there, Jair?
family has
Go ahead.
the family has a budget of eight 18,000 to spend on stocking
18,000 what, Jair?
of the supplies. What do you say, Miss?
18,000 what? What's the
Dollars, Miss,
okay?
to spend on stocking up supplies for the hurricane. Here is the emergency checklist with the proportion the proportion of money
Proportion.
Thank you. To
to
be
be allotted to certain items.
to be allotted
To be allotted to certain items. First, an aid kit 5%. Candles, flashlights, batteries, kerosene 8%. Canned food 10%. Bread, buns, crackers 10%. Water 30%. Boxed juice 15%. Dried fruit times the remaining balance. How much money will be spent
on each of each set of items.
All right. Read it again, please.
Question number 3. The family has a budget of $18,000 to spend on stocking up supplies for the hurricane. Here is their emergency checklist with the proportion of money to be
Allotted.
allotted to certain items. First, aid kit, 5%. Candles, flashlights, batteries, kerosene, 8%. Canned foods, 10%. Bread, buns, crackers, 10%. Water, 30%. Boxed juice, 15%. Dried fruits times remaining balance,
X%. X%.
X% remaining balance. How much money would be spent on each set of items?
All right, so this is quite a task. This is quite a task. The family has a budget. They can only spend $18,000 to get them through this hurricane. There are a number of things that they must buy to get them through safely. So, food items and first aid stuff and candles and whatever. And they have decided to allot a certain percentage of the funds to each thing. How are we going to work out how much money they have allotted to each thing? Anyone? How are we going to work this out?
It's divide, miss.
Divide what, Nathan? What will we divide?
Mr. 18,000.
By what and why?
But Miss Carter said for fish 8 kids, so we should divide Miss by 5%. Miss, so 5% of the funds would go into from the 18 would go into first 8 kids.
How
So
would
Miss
you work
would
out
divide
5% of 18,000?
Miss. It not really feel good now, Miss, but I still ask try this up, Miss.
Who knows how we would work out the 5% of the 18,000?
Miss, I actually have another way of approaching this question, Miss.
How would you approach it, Antoine?
So, Miss, you would add up all of the percentage, then subtract it from 100 because percentage mean out of 100, Miss.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get my remainder for dried fruits, we have
Mm-hmm.
to find the remainder for dried fruits, Miss. So
Mm-hmm.
I got 22%. That means that's where we would start finding 5% of 18,000.
Okay, so there are a number of things. So we need to find the amount for dried fruits because it's X%. So yes, you would do that to find it, Antoine. You would add up all the percentages, take it from 100 to find the percent for dried fruits. Very good. But we also now need to find the actual value in dollars for each of those categories, including the dried fruits. So where would we go from there? So Antoine is saying he knows how to fill in that X% for the dried fruit, which is the remaining thing. They didn't tell us the percent. So since we know percent means out of 100, so he added all the other percentages and took it from 100, and you got what, Antoine? How much percent?
22%, miss.
20?
2%.
22. So that's 5 plus 8 plus 10 plus 10. That's 33 plus 30, that's 63 plus 15, that's 78. So that's correct. 22% is left for dried fruits. Now, how do we work out the actual money that is allotted to each of these categories? Because that's what they're asking. How much money? Not what percent only, but how much money will be spent. So we're going to have to work out the percentages for each of these. All right, so how do we do that, guys? How do we work out the percentages, the money? Welcome, Amari. Perhaps you can help us with this.
Good night, miss.
Good night. Can you help us with this, Amari? We're trying to figure out how much money was allotted to each of these category of items. $18,000 in all the family had to spend. And as you can see on the screen, 5% for this, 10% for that, 8% for that. But those are percentages. How do we work out the actual number of dollars? How do we find 5% of a number? Who knows how to work that? 5%. If we're finding 5% of the 18,000, how would we work that? All right, so percent means out of 100. 5% of 18,000. So here's how you set it out. You'd put 5 over 100 times 18,000.
18,000.
And you do that for each category. So everybody get to work, please. And as soon as you've worked out any of the categories, please indicate to me. So you're finding 5% of the 18,000, 8% of the 18,000. Two of them have the same amount. So if you find 10% of 18,000, that automatically takes care of two categories. Any category that has any categories that have the same, you automatically find those together, right? So it's 5 over 100 times 18,000 for the first aid kit. For the candles, flashlight, batteries, kerosene, 8 over 100 times 18,000. And remember, we have the 100 in the denominator. You can use those 2 zeros to cancel 2 zeros from the 18,000. So let's work those quickly. And as soon as you get your answer for any of those categories, please indicate. Anybody got anything yet?
Miss, I'm working the first aid.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. All right, so Amari is taking first aid, right?
Yes,
right.
miss.
I'm going to ask Antoine to take the candles, flashlight, batteries, kerosene. Please work that, Antoine. Genesis, please work the canned foods, which is automatically the same as the bread, buns, and crackers. Jair, please work the water. Who is left?
Miss, it looks like Jack got kicked out of me.
So
Miss,
Nardika, can you work the
Miss,
box juices? And Nathan, you work the dried fruits. Everybody got what they're doing? So we don't have a. So Amari's working out the 5%.
Miss, I found the answer for the 5%.
How much is it, Amari?
Miss, I got. Miss, hold on. Miss, I have to check it over, miss, and see if I'm correct. Miss.
All right. Antoine is working the 8%. Genesis is working the 10%. Who did I give the 30%? Nardika?
Miss, I got 180. Miss, for the first aid kit.
5% of 18,000.
No, miss, sorry.
So
Miss, I
everybody,
got 900.
how much?
900, miss.
900. That's correct. Antoine, did you get your 8%?
Not finished, miss.
So remember, you're putting the number over 100 times 18,000. That's what we're doing. Anybody else work theirs as yet? So for Genesis, you would put 10 over 100 times 18,000.
Not yet, miss.
Miss,
Yes, Antoine?
I got my answer.
All right, how much did you get?
$1,440.
That's correct. Okay, so that's 8% of the 18,000. Okay, so Miss Reed is saying she's agreeing with Amari, $900 for the 5%. Anybody else worked out theirs? Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute, and then we'll have to fill in the gaps. All right, so let's go, guys. So remember now, we're finding
Miss,
percentage. Yes,
Miss, I got 22%, miss.
yeah.
Yes, miss.
And how much is that?
Is how much is 22%, miss?
Of the 18,000?
Yes, I'm coming.
So that will be 22 over 100 times 18,000.
Miss,
Yes.
for the candle, for the bread, the canned food and bread, miss.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, I got $1,800, miss.
That is correct. So for canned foods, 1,800. Bread, buns, crackers, 1,800. So we need water, the box juices, and Nathan said he's soon finished with the dried fruits. 22% for the dried fruits. Did anybody work out the water? What's 30% of 18,000? Nardika?
Yes, miss.
Oh, who said miss a while ago? Some of you sound the same as.
Miss, for water, miss, would it be? Miss, for water.
Miss,
Hold on, Amari, for water.
Miss, I'm calculating. Miss, 600 times 5. Miss, 30. Miss,
Miss,
3,000. Miss, 3,000 for the water, miss.
3,000.
Miss,
Yes, miss, I think so, miss.
Check that again, please. Nathan,
Miss, I got $4,060 for the dried fruits, Miss.
22%.
Yes, Miss.
Miss,
That's not what I got. 3,000 how much?
Miss, Miss, who
4,000
are
how
you
much?
talking to? $4,060, Miss.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
Genesis, did you get yours as yet?
Miss,
yes, Miss,
Antoine?
I got
Miss, I calculated the water, Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I got $5,400.
Okay, that's correct. 30%. Genesis, you
Excuse
had
me, miss.
Miss, I got
hold on, Ardika. Genesis, you had worked out yours.
yes, Miss, I
What
got
did you do?
1,800.
Okay, Nardika.
Excuse me.
Miss, well, I worked out the box juices, and I got 10,800, but I'm working it out again.
That's incorrect. So you do need to work it
Yes,
again.
miss.
Amari,
Miss, for the water, 30%. Miss, I got 5,400.
that's correct. All right, so our answers are here. So let's just run them through. For the 5% for the first aid kit, that's $900. Candles, flashlight, batteries, kerosene, 8%, that's $1,440. Canned foods and bread bun crackers, both 10%, that's 1,800. Water, which is 30%, is 5,004. Box juices, 15%, that's 2,007, right, Nardika? And the 22%, which was remaining for the dried fruits,
Yes,
is
miss.
$3,960. All right, so Nathan, it's your turn to read. And this is question 4. Please go ahead, read twice.
Okay, Miss. An emergency evacuation order has been issued for residents of lying
Low
areas in Morant
line,
Bay.
low
Lying
line.
areas in Morant Bay. In Morant Bay, 3 huge buses have been sent to shuttle residents to the nearest disaster center. Each bus can hold 84 seated passengers and the driver. No passengers will be standing. Using all buses, how many trips we will be required to shuttle 2,486 residents to the center.
Again, please.
An emergency evacuation order has been issued for residents of low-lying areas in Morant Bay. 3 huge buses have been sent to shuttle the residents to the nearest disaster center. Each bus can hold 84 seated passengers and the driver. No passengers will be standing. Using all buses, how many trips will be required to shuttle 2,486 residents to the centers?
All right, so here's our task. We need to work out how many trips or how many buses. How many trips? We need to work out how many trips will it require. There are 3 huge buses. They tell us how many each bus can accommodate, how many seated passengers. Nobody will be standing, so we don't have to worry that some people going to be standing. How many trips will be needed? How do we approach this one? Those in the chat, type your answers, please, for question 4. Who wants to go? Any ideas? So the residents must be evacuated. Yes, Genesis?
Must we divide?
Pardon me?
Must we divide them?
Divide what and why?
The
Remember,
total
you
of
can't just tell me the operation, you have to tell me why.
the total of passengers that can hold on one bus and the total of residents.
The total of passengers that can hold on one bus by divide the total number of residents by the total number of passengers that can hold on one bus. That could be one way to start. But remember, there are 3 buses. There are 3 buses, right?
And then when we
First of all, tell me, how many passengers can hold on one bus seated?
84,
Do we all agree? How many persons will be on one bus?
it's 85
Why do you say 85?
because there's 84 passengers plus the person that's driving the bus.
Okay, very good. All right. And the next thing is it's not just one bus each time. They're going to use all buses for each trip. So on the first trip, all 3 buses will be going. That's one trip, right?
Yes.
So what next do we need to do then? Hi, Sandra. Please type your answers in the chat and your explanations. So Miss Reed is saying divide 2,486 by 84. That would be if it's one bus per trip. But they're saying we're going to use all the buses for each trip. We have 3 big buses. So when you're thinking one trip, is it 3 buses going on that trip? Then they're going to come back and do another trip. So how are we going to work out how many trips? What do we need to do first before we divide? There's something we need to do first before we go ahead and divide.
Miss,
Yes, Antoine?
you have to add 1 to the 84 since it says there are 84 passengers and the driver, miss.
Yes, Genesis already said that. So it's 85 seated persons in each bus. But I'm saying there's something else we need to do before we divide the total number of persons.
This must be multiplied.
Multiply what and why?
Multiply the 85 plus multiply the 85 by 3 to the 3 buses.
Multiply the 85 by what?
3.
Why?
Because there's 3 buses and 85 people can sit on one.
That's correct. There are 3 buses each trip. They're moving together. It's three huge buses. So when you think of a trip, it's the three buses on that trip. So Genesis is saying we have to multiply the 85 by 3 because there are three buses taking 85 persons each time.
Miss,
Yes,
Miss, 85 or 84, Miss?
85 because the driver is a seated person on the bus. So when we multiply 85 by 3, how much do we get?
Miss,
Yes.
Miss, the reason I said is 8, Miss, it could be, this is 84, Miss, or 83, Miss, because it said each bus can hold 84 seated passengers and the driver, Miss.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss, oh. I'm getting crazy.
Mr. Total, I got
Yes, Genesis.
total when I multiply the 85 by 3, I got 255.
Okay, so on each
I
trip,
got
we have
255.
255 persons moving, right? So how many trips? How we're going to work out how many trips?
Miss, then would you divide it? Miss, would you divide the 255? Let's divide it by.
Divide the 255 by something.
Wait, no, Miss.
Divide what?
Miss, don't worry, Miss.
What do we do now? Each trip, we're going to have 255 persons.
We divide now.
Divide what? Divide what?
And divide the 255 by the 85.
Say that again, please, Genesis.
We divide the 255 by the 85.
But that's going to put us back to where we started. We're going to get the 3. Remember, we multiply the 85 by 3 to get the 255. So if we divide the 255 by 85, we're just going to get back the 3. We'll be right back where we started, ground zero. Sandra is saying divide 225 by 2,486. It's actually the other way around, Sandra. We divide the total number of persons by the number of persons each trip. So it's the 2,486 divided by 225. So it's long division with a 3-digit number, but it's easy because we have a 340 something 255 that goes into it. How many times? Oh, it's 249. So when we're doing long division, sometimes we have to estimate. Sometimes it's trial and error. In the interest of time, when I divided it, I got 9.7. So how would we answer that question? How many trips? If 2,486,
Miss,
yes, go ahead.
we're gonna divide that, Miss, I got 9.74,
Yes.
9019607
Nathan, we don't need all the decimal places going to 9.74. Okay. So how many trips? How many trips would that be? How many full trips? If it's 9 point something,
It's 9 full trips, Miss.
round it up. Round it
You
up.
have to round it. You have to round it up.
Miss
What?
Reed and Sandra are saying 10.
Yes. You will have
So Sandra
10
says
trips.
10. She says we have to round up. Correct. Miss Reed also says 10. Thank you, Amari. Sometimes I can't see the chat in real time. So thank you for pointing that out. Yes, so we have to round up because it's 9.7. So we have to make 10 trips. On the last trip, the bus won't be full, right? It would have zero point 0.7 of its capacity, but we still have to make that trip. You get what I'm saying? So it has to be 10 trips. All right, Antoine, it's your turn to read. So I'm asking you to read question 5, please.
Okay, miss. Question 5. Each family is allowed to take no more than 2 suitcases and 2 small bags with personal items. Jessica's family is on bus B and there are 6 other families on that bus. What is the maximum number of suitcases and bags that bus B will carry? Question 5. Each family is allowed to take no more than 2 suitcases and 2 small bags with personal items. Jessica's family is on bus B and there are 6 other families on that bus. What is the maximum number of suitcases and bags that bus B will carry?
Okay, guys, so how we're going to work out
Miss,
maximum number?
Miss,
Yes, Amari.
so Miss, you would say that Miss Jessica's family carried. Miss doesn't want you to give the answer separate, Miss.
If you're giving it separate, you can. If you're giving it together, you just state.
Miss,
Because
I'm going
remember, in the performance task, you have to explain
Miss,
yourself. You have to explain what you're
Yes,
doing.
miss.
Yes,
so
so
Miss, what I said, Miss, I just said that it's 4. Miss, in all, it's 4 bags for Jessica's family, Miss, and for the 6 other families, Miss. Would you say the 4 times the 6, Miss? Miss, since for one family, it's 4 bags in total, Miss. So, Miss, what I said was 4 times the 6, which is 24, Miss.
okay. Does anyone have any other answer or took another approach?
Miss,
No, miss.
Miss,
Yes, go ahead.
Miss, me not think for multiply, Miss. Miss, if me I go multiply, Miss, it would be it would be the 6. Miss, remember she's in Jessica's family is in the bus, Miss, and there's 6 other families, Miss. So Jessica's family
Is it
for
six
6 other,
other? Is it 6 other families or 6 families
yes,
in all?
6 other families.
Is that what it said? Let me double
Yes,
check.
Miss.
So Jessica's family is on bus B, and there are 6 other families. Can you see that,
Yes, Miss.
Amari?
Yes, Miss, and Miss, you should remember you should bring 2 suitcases, Miss, and 2 small bags, Miss. Miss,
Okay.
so what is the maximum number of suitcases and bags will be carried, Miss?
Mm-hmm.
But Miss, what? Miss, knowing that you
Miss, so Miss,
Hold on,
maximum of small bags, Miss,
yeah.
that would be 14, right? Yes, Miss. And the maximum of suitcases, Miss, that would be 14 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, so the total, Miss, amount of bags you can bring on the bus will be 28 for Jessica's families, Miss. Miss, all together, Miss, with Jessica's family's bags, Miss, with all the other 6 families' bags, Miss.
Okay. Amari, what are you saying?
Miss, he got 28, Miss, if you do it my way, Miss, and you add them up back, Miss, because Jessica's family, Miss, they have 4 bags in total, Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, the other family has 24, Miss. You can say 24 plus the 4, Miss, and that is also
So you
28.
had separated them, Amari. So you had said 4 for Jessica's family, and
And
then
then 24.
I thought the 24 was your final answer.
No, Miss 24 was not my final answer. Miss,
All
I was
right.
going to say something else, Miss.
Yes, go ahead.
Um, Miss, I already said it, Miss.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're both correct. And let me see now. Question 6. So I'm going to see now if I can get two persons back on, or get two persons to join us and see. So this is Alana. Who else did I just add? I can't see the name. Alana and who else?
Shelly, Miss.
Yeah, Miss.
Oh, Shalicia. All right, welcome Alana and Shalicia.
Good night, Miss. Family.
Hi. All right, so Alana, I'm going to ask you to read question 6, please.
Miss, are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Number question 6. Jessica's family has been assigned to the Morant Bay Civic Clinic Center.
Center. Mhm.
The families will sleep on rectangular mats on the floor. Large mats are 2 meter by 3 meter. Small mats are 1.5 meter by 2.5 meter. The sleeping space on the floor is 30 meter by 40 meter. There, there were 100 large and 120 small mats. If the mats were spread side to side, how much walking space would remain on the floor?
Okay, Alana, read again,
Miss.
please.
I can hear you.
Read again, please.
Okay, Miss. Jessica's family has been assigned to the Morant Bay Civic Center. The families will sleep on rectangular mats on the floor. Large mats are 2 meters by 3 meter. Small mats are 1.5 meter by 2.5 meter. The sleeping space on the floor is 30 meter by 40 meter. There were 100 large and 120 small mats. If the mats were spread side to side, how much walking space would remain on the floor?
Miss.
Okay, who's
Sorry,
that?
sister. Sorry.
Nathan,
Yes, Miss.
go ahead.
Miss, me right now in my head. Miss, I think that I would think so. No, that left Miss.
I'm not
Miss,
hearing.
I said, Miss, me no in my head. Me I said 5 would have left Miss.
5 would be left.
5 meters.
5 meters would be left.
Yes, Miss, me in my mind. I think so.
Oh, you know that in your
Because
mind,
Miss,
Nathan.
Miss, because it said Miss, the space on the floor is 30 meters by 40, right?
Yes.
Yes, Miss, and there were hundreds large, Miss, and 120 small. Miss, remember that the large ones are bigger than the small ones. So if you put the large size, Miss, you can still put the small one, then Miss, because the small one could have fit in a little spaces, Miss.
Mm-hmm. So how you work out that is 5?
Yes, Miss, and the small one, them now, Miss, you could have, it's a 1.5 meters by 2.5 meters. Miss, so the 2.5 meters will come from the sides, right, Miss?
Mm-hmm.
The sides of the match the mat, and the 1.5 will come from the top, the two tops, Miss.
Mm-hmm.
So the one Miss, and well, the large mats are 2 meters by 3, Miss. 2 meters would be on the top, Miss, and the 3 would be on the sides.
So I'm still not seeing how you get the 5. Um, what working out did you do? What was the operation or operations?
Good.
Or are you just making a good guess, Nathan?
You know some of good guess Miss, but in my head I say, yeah that Miss Murad me and Murad say Murad divide the is get the 1.5 from the 30 by 40 meters. Remember it's 30 meters. Miss on the floor is 30 meters like this from the side, from the top miss, from side to side miss, and the whole floor miss. That is 30 miss, and the sides miss. Cause remember it could be a big
But wouldn't you
miss, a
need to
big civic.
know how many of those 1.5
You
could
could
fit
fit
along the
miss.
30 and the
Yes, miss.
2.5 along whatever else? So how would you do those working out?
Yeah,
Is
I would
anybody else
draw.
going to try?
No,
Nathan, I need something more solid than that. I don't want it to be guessing, even if it's a nice big guessing. I want you to do some working out because I should be able to employ you as the manager of the Civic Center, Nathan, and you should give me some figures how much space we're going to have left for the people to walk.
okay, miss. Miss,
So
I'll
does
take the 1.5.
anybody else
Yes,
have
miss.
some
So
working out?
yes, miss. So the 1.5 would come off it by the 30 miss, cause the 30 meters is from the top miss. So
Mm-hmm.
take out, divide 1.5 by 30 miss. No, miss say 30 by 1.5 miss. So miss the top up miss you would have divided 30 by 1.5 miss. So how much small must be miss, and the two miss the 2.5 would come from the 40 meters miss. So the
Mm-hmm.
top miss would divide the top by 1.5 meters, and the side is the is 2.5 by 40 miss on the side miss. So after you find that miss, the
Mm-hmm.
large mass now after you found the area miss. After you find the area miss, the large mass miss, out of the remainder miss, the remainder of space when you get the small mass miss, out
Okay.
of the remainder miss you would do the same thing like
So do that then,
the
Nathan.
30 miss.
Tell
You
me
would
how
divide
many of the 1.5 could fit along the 30 and how many of the 2.5 could fit along the 40, and do the same for the 2 and the 3, but you're going to have to give me some figures because we're going to need to know exactly how much space is left. Right,
okay
Nathan?
miss.
So you're
Okay
doing
miss. So
it the
one by
practical way, as if you're actually as if you would be drawing the diagram and seeing how many of the 1.5 we can get out of the 30 and how
okay
many
miss.
of the
So
so
how many 1.5 I can hit the that miss?
all
One
right,
point
so
five
you do that.
1.5 is 1.5 and 1.5. Miss is 2.5 miss. Yes, miss is
1.5 and
2.5 miss.
1.5 is 2.5. Is that what you said?
Uh,
You said 1.5 and 1.5 is 2.5.
oh, the miss are 3 miss.
Mm-hmm.
3 6 plus 3 9 plus 3 12
Three
plus
trees is
3
not 6.
16. Miss can remember 1.5 and 1.5 that's a 2 at the small mat. Then miss out the top
Mm-hmm.
out of is floor miss one it out of 30 miss meters miss. So
Mm-hmm.
in that miss. So that miss
Two of
1.5 1.5 that's a 3.
them,
What is it?
you're saying two of the top parts of the small mats would give 3 meters.
Yes, miss. On the
Mm-hmm.
third miss, but you can divide the 1.5 by the third, miss, you still have to do the same thing on my side, miss. So the 1.5, 1 point, miss, that's a 1.5, that's a 3, miss, plus
Mm-hmm.
the 2.5 or 2.5, that's a 4, that's a 5 meters, miss. Miss, so, miss, out of that, miss,
So how many
3
mats
meters
would
from the
come to
30.
the
3
30?
meters from 30 meters out would be 38, no,
But you
20,
know what, Nathan? This would take us a long time using
27, miss. Miss,
this would take us
meters
a
from the
long
30
time.
would.
You know what happened? If you go into a performance task exam, I don't think you would have that much time to be doing it one by one and seeing how much one and then that one. So I want you to think
Let's
of
see,
the
miss.
easier way, Nathan.
Miss, excuse me, miss.
Yes, Antoine.
I have another approach of this question, miss.
Let me hear your approach. Let me see if it's an easier approach.
So, miss, so
Mhm.
it says large mats are 2 meters by 3 meters, miss.
Mhm.
So you have to find out the perimeter of a rectangle, miss.
Mhm.
So I added 3 and 2, I get 5. Then multiply it by 2, you get 10, miss. So 10 meters is for the large mat, miss.
Mhm.
Then for a small mat, it says small mats are 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters. I mean 1.2 meters. Sorry, miss. So I added 2.5 meters to 1.5 meters. I got 4 meters, miss, plus the 2, I mean times 2, we get 8 meters, miss. Then so miss, 30, it says the space on the floor is 30 by 40 meters, miss. And it
Mhm.
said there are 100 large and 120 small mats, miss. So I did it by 100 times 10, miss. I got the 10 from the large mats, miss. So 100 times 10, miss, I got 1,000.
100 times 10.
Yes, miss.
Why?
Divide.
Miss, I got it from the.
But let me tell you a little pointer, Antoine.
Yes, miss.
All right, so you're thinking in terms of perimeter, but what I would suggest is that you think in terms of area because each mat is taking up an area of space. The floor is an area of space that each mat is going to cover a certain area of space on the floor.
Yeah, the way.
So if you were thinking perimeter, Antoine, you would be going back to the same problem Nathan is having, in that it will take you quite a while to work out the distance along the edge of the mat this way and that way, and the distance that each small or large mat could take up. That's going to take a while if you're thinking in terms of the perimeter. So I would suggest you think in terms of the area of the mat, the space that the mat is going to take up on the floor, and the space that is available, the total space that is available on the floor. If we're thinking in terms of area rather than perimeter, how would we approach it? Not that you
You
can't
multi-
use perimeter, but it's going to take you a while given that it's like you're doing it the practical way, but it's a long, drawn out way.
Means you would multiply the 2 meters by the 3 meters.
And that would give what?
And when you multiply after you multiply the 2 by the 3, you get 6. So so one of the large mats would be 6 meters for one of them.
6 meters square.
Six
So
meters
the
square.
area of a large mat is 6 meters square.
Yes,
Or
and then you multiply the
by
1.5 by the 2.5, and you get 3.75, I think. Yes.
double check that.
Uh,
1.5 times 2.5. All right, so you got
yes, miss.
3.75. All
Yes,
right.
miss. And then after that, you times the 30 by the 40, and you get 1,200 square meters for how much space left.
Mm-hmm.
And then
For how much space is available on the floor?
Yes, for how much space is available on the floor when you times the 30 square meter by the 40 square meter.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then what?
so it says there are 100 large and 120 small mats. So what I would do is you can do divide or subtraction. So you subtract the amount of large mats, and if you continue subtracting and you reach a zero, that's the amount of mats can be left, or you add the 100 with the 120.
You are on the right track. However, you are making some mistakes along that right track that are taking you off the track, Alan. So, you started out very strong. Okay, so you said the 2 times 3 because you're finding the area of the large mat. You said the 1.5 times 2.5 to give you the area of the small mat. But there's something you're forgetting. And what we're actually going to do, scholars, tomorrow is Ash Wednesday holiday. We're going to resume on Friday, and we're going to start back at this question. So you have 2 days to try and thrash out this question in your head. We're starting back with question 6. We've gone over an hour tonight, and we have other duties to perform.
Miss,
Yes, Antoine.
I've Miss, let me work this out one more time, miss.
Go again. Go ahead, Antoine.
Miss, never mind, miss.
All right. In the chat, I see persons saying, let me see what the guys in the chat are saying over there. Let me see. What my scholars are not doing what I asked them to give me the number of the question they're answering. I don't know which
Miss,
question you guys answering. Yes, is that Shalicia?
yes, Miss. This is my
Shalicia.
approach and what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Miss, I multiplied 2 times 3, which equals 6. 2
Mm-hmm.
times 5 times 1.5
Mm-hmm.
equals 25. And then,
Hold
since it
on.
says
2.5 times 1.5 is not 25. 2.5 times 1.5, that's not 25, Shalicia. Is it? I believe Alana had gotten 3.75. I think it's 3.75.
Yes, miss.
And then from there, where would we go?
lesson 37, 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
So, Miss,
Okay.
it goes to say that there were 100 large mats.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, since the area of one mat is 6, I multiplied 6 times 100 and got
Mm-hmm.
600.
Mm-hmm.
And then I multiplied 120 times 2. Oh. This would be, for the small mats, it would be 120 multiplied by 37.5. And after that, you
3.7.
would, yes, Miss, 5. And after that, you would find the area of the floor itself, which is
Mm-hmm.
40 times 30, which is 1,200. I would add the answer we got for the large maths and small maths, which was 100 times 6 equals 600, and 3.75 multiplied by 120. And then I would subtract it from 200.
So what figures would those give you? So you added the 600 to what? So for the large maths, the area is 2 times 3, which is 6, and it's 100 large maths. So that's 600 for the total area taken up by the large maths. The small maths, 1.5 times 2.5, and it's 120 of them. So what did you get for that, Shalicia? The area taken up by the small maths. You didn't tell me that figure.
Miss, I'm working.
Okay.
Miss?
Yes, go ahead.
Miss, me still there, sir? Me does stay upon the question, miss.
You're just staring at the question, but you know, Shelly took the question by the horns, and she's going to hammer it into submission. Shalicia has taken
Miss,
the question by the
Miss,
horns.
what me ask tell miss?
Pardon me?
Miss, I
What
came
me
back
ask tell
with
miss?
trial and error.
Sorry, what did you say, Antoine?
Miss, I came back with this. I came back, miss, with the solution. I think.
Go ahead.
So, miss, you'll have to find the area of the large mass,
Mm-hmm.
which is 6 meters, and the small mass,
6
three,
meters
four,
square.
yes, 6 meters square, miss. Thanks for the
Okay.
correction.
You're
And the
welcome.
small mass, 3.75 meters squared.
Yes.
So, miss, I multiplied it, the large mass, by 100, miss, and I got 600. Then
Yeah.
I did a small math and I got uh 450, miss.
When you say you did the small maths, what do you mean?
Miss 400.
Miss, it. I multiplied it, miss,
So you
by
multiply the
small
3.75 by,
120,
okay, and you got what?
450, miss.
All right, then you did what?
Then, miss, uh, not sure, but you'd have to add them together, then subtract it from the area of the floor, miss, which would be 1,200.
All right, so when you added those, what did you get?
So, miss, come back to you on that one.
All right, Shalicia, are you ready with your figure? Who is ready? Who else is ready?
Miss, I'm ready now.
Go ahead.
Okay, Miss, so after you multiply the 120 times 3.75, you get 450. Then you would add 600 and 450 and get 1,050. And then you subtract 1,050 from 1,200, and I got 150.
What's the unit?
Miss, 150 meters.
150.
Where?
Meters square.
Squared, miss.
Correct. All right, so Shalicia led the way and she was helped out by Antoine. So the idea is we find the area of the mats, add the area of the mats, subtract it from the area of the floor to see the space that is left for walking on the floor. That's the idea. All right, so we will rendezvous on Friday to complete this performance task. We have a number of questions left in the hurricane. And I have a feeling I'm going to start back with this question. So if any newcomers are here on Friday, they're going to meet this question. And for the ones who
Miss,
hold a second, for the ones who are here today and you come on Friday, I hope you remember how to work out this question. Yes, Antoine?
if this is a performance task question, Miss, I wonder how many space are they going to give us, Miss. This took up 4 pages for me to work
4
out.
pages?
Four
No way.
pages, Miss.
Why you need 4 pages for this? This is
Miss,
like, how many operations were there?
trial and error, Miss. I've been going through one method
Oh,
then the
well,
other.
you see, Antoine, by the time you finish doing these practice questions, you are definitely not going to need 4 pages to work a question like
Miss,
this.
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Nathan?
Miss, this a practice question, Miss?
It is a practice question. And the performance task that you're going to get, you have to master perimeter and area. Trust me on that. You have to master the concepts of perimeter and area. Make sure you master those concepts. You see, just like how this question pulled on your knowledge of perimeter and area plus other things, make sure you master those 2 concepts because you will be called upon to do it.
Excuse me, Miss.
Yes, go ahead.
I joined a little bit late,
Mm-hmm.
but is this the first time you're doing this?
Oh, no, no, no. Not the first and definitely not the last. So I'm asking you to come back on Friday at 6:30.
Okay, Miss.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
continue. Yes, we're going
Because
to
I missed more than 4 questions.
Oh, and please invite your friends and cousins and neighbors to come along as well.
Okay, Miss. I will.
Thank you, ma'am. So we'll see each other again on Friday. We're starting back with this question. So make sure you remember how to tackle this question and then we'll move on.
Okay, Miss. Bye.
All
Thank
right,
you.
scholars. Bye. See you on Friday. Enjoy your holiday break.
You too.
Thank you and same to you, Miss. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank
And
you
have
for those holding up the chat over there. Thank
Miss,
you, Miss Reed.
Miss,
Yes.
which holiday break, Miss?
Tomorrow is Ash Wednesday. Did not you know?
Nope.
You did not know that tomorrow is Ash Wednesday?
No, Miss.
And
I
that
think I school
scholars.
tomorrow, Miss.
Oh my goodness, you're going to be the only student at school tomorrow, Nathan. I wish
Just
you all
remind
the
me.
best at school tomorrow, Nathan.
So what day at school
You're
tomorrow?
going to be the teacher, the student, the principal, the
God at school,
and you're gonna be everything tomorrow at school.
I'm American at school.
You're going you're
Bye,
going
Miss.
you're going even to the security guard tomorrow. Okay, bye guys. See you on Friday.
Bye.
See you on Friday, Miss.
Okay.
I'm married.